Indonesia operates on a scale that is difficult to process. Its capital, Jakarta, is the core of an urban agglomeration housing over 30 million people, making it one of the largest megacities on Earth. Yet just a short distance from that hyper-modern density sits Borobudur, a massive 9th century Buddhist temple complex that speaks to an ancient, deeply rooted cultural heritage. And all of this human architecture rests on extremely volatile ground. Volcanic eruptions and seismic tremors routinely tear through the landscape. This map shows the nation's physical spread, an archipelago of over 17,000 islands spanning 5,120 kilometers, wider than the continental United States. Zooming in reveals a demographic anomaly, the world's fourth largest population of 280 million people, comprising 600 ethnic groups speaking 700 native languages. Note: minor VO trim applied to cleanly merge the sustained animation sequence while strictly abiding by the 45-word maximum limit for high-load dynamic panels. Historically, landmasses this physically broken and culturally divided splinter into smaller, independent states. Indonesia avoids this collapse through an explicit national formula known as Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, unity in diversity. Sitting on the Pacific Ring of Fire, colliding plates gave Indonesia 130 active volcanoes. Their ash creates highly fertile soil, clustering half the population on Java. This geography also formed the Wallace Line, a deep trench keeping the islands and biology completely separated. Because the landmasses never touched, the wildlife never mixed. The Western Islands are filled with Asian fauna, like the orangutan. Cross the line to the east and you enter an Australasian ecosystem featuring highly unique endemic predators like the Komodo dragon. The violent tectonic collisions that ripped these islands apart are the exact same mechanics that generated their immense biological and agricultural wealth. That wealth, and a position between the Indian and Pacific Oceans, turned the islands into a global maritime crossroads. Centuries of trade brought Hinduism, Buddhism, and eventually Islam, which all folded into local indigenous traditions. By the 16th century, the pursuit of nutmeg, cloves, and mace brought European fleets to the Spice Islands. The Dutch East India Company established a monopoly, triggering 3.5 centuries of foreign occupation and resource extraction. Japanese occupation during World War II shattered Dutch control. In August 1945, nationalist leaders Sukarno and Muhammad Hatta proclaimed an independent republic, sparking a 4-year war to secure their sovereignty. To bind the new republic together, the founders made a highly strategic calculation. Instead of forcing the Javanese language onto the other islands, they elevated a neutral Malay trade dialect to create the national language, Bahasa Indonesia. In 1968, General Suharto took control, establishing an authoritarian, military-backed government known as the New Order. He suppressed political opposition to prioritize foreign investment and drive 3 decades of aggressive economic growth. That system cracked during the 1997 Asian financial crisis. Severe economic contraction triggered widespread riots and protests, forcing Suharto to step down and opening the door to sweeping democratic reforms. 3 centuries of shared occupation and a neutral trade language proved strong enough to weave hundreds of isolated ethnic groups into a functioning nation-state. This chart tracks Indonesia's GDP, showing a sharp acceleration in the early 2000s as it industrialized. Breaking down that growth reveals a massive reliance on extracting natural resources, making Indonesia a dominant global supplier of coal, palm oil, and nickel. To move resources and connect its workforce, the government has poured capital into physical infrastructure, including Woosh, the first high-speed rail line in Southeast Asia. This massive industrial scale translates directly into geopolitical leverage. Indonesia is the only Southeast Asian member of the G20, and it operates as the primary diplomatic anchor for the entire ASEAN bloc. By treating its fragmented geography as an asset rather than a barrier, Indonesia secured its position as a highly strategic choke point for global trade. But looking at this bar chart comparing regional GDP, a severe imbalance emerges. The island of Java absorbs the vast majority of the country's economic development, while distant provinces like Papua and Maluku capture a fraction of the wealth. That rapid industrialization also demands an enormous amount of physical space. Vast stretches of ancient rainforests and carbon-rich peatlands have been systematically cleared to make way for commercial agriculture and logging. Meanwhile, rising sea levels are threatening the coastlines. In megacities like Jakarta, groundwater depletion combined with climate change is causing entire neighborhoods to literally sink below the waterline. These accelerating man-made crises sit directly on top of the perpetual tectonic threat. Earthquakes and tsunamis frequently devastate coastal communities, constantly wiping out infrastructure. Managing a state under these conditions requires exact political calibration. Leadership must maintain the momentum of an industrializing economy while keeping a vast, highly diverse electorate secure from environmental collapse. Indonesia faces extreme physical fragmentation, deep economic divides, and an inherently volatile geography. Whether it can maintain its unity against those forces is one of the most vital stress tests of the 21st century.